I'm still from Louisiana, don't get that shit mixed with school. Been at this shit for a while, been calculating my moves. Won't say what I coulda did, cause it what I'm finna do. They be telling hell a lot of people yelling, telling the truth. They some boasters, they killing all our people, eat them, then they missing post them. They hiding in disgust, but I just act like I ain't noticed. I'm a real demon, baby, niggas acting like they soldiers. How you claiming you a gangster, but they told me you a buster? Boy, I know your ass a bitch, cause you told on your brother. Might as well just be your Barbie, if you play bitch, I'ma cuss you. Then I jump up in that water and get dirty in them gutters. Don't tell me about no bitch and no nigga, cause I say fuck them. I'm spiritual but real, this shit I say you gon' feel. This shit is not for fun, this shit here gon' get you killed. I could've been one of but baby, I won't sign no deal. You can call me Kevin Gates, cause I get it how I live. I'm spiritual but real, this shit I say you gon' feel. This shit is not for fun, this shit here gon' get you killed. I could've been one of but baby, I won't sign no deal. You can call me Kevin Gates, cause I get it how I live.
Ain't no facade, niggas get zipped up on a daily. Feet the balls on switches, get a drop, my mom gon' lose her baby. They say head tap, do hit the ground before he had dropped 8. Ambulance pulled up, but he getting cold, DOA is too late. I ain't gotta move my cobra clap on my command. If I gain that be that business, fuck you, you ain't with that clan. On business, I'ma stand. On front line with a 5-inch 460 in my pants. And I don't need no nigga with me, fucking dolo how I stand.
B-I-G-Y-E-W-L-A. I just want everybody to know, bitches spinning like a ballerina when I'm walking in. Yes, I keep them on their toes and I really locked in. I took the whole damn hood to a damn mosh pit. He say, yellow, you the hottest. I know I'm a goddess. How I flush the press to hoe. If she tryna talk shit and go to war with everybody, if they try to stop this, So what with everybody, they ain't really in my mix. And I don't really fuck with hoes, cause they really full of dick. And these niggas ain't no different, always tryna get a pick. Cause I get this sneezing on these niggas, cause they make me sick. Tryna get that money, but they out here tryna get me. Love how they bass booming when I'm riding in my whip. And I'm never late for getting paid, so you won't see me slip. All black on my body, bitch, I put it on. I can't get my time to no little nigga, baby, leave me alone. XCC on my body, D&D up on my phone. I get up in that booth and I get stupid when I'm in my zone. 7 days on, no days off. Bitch, I made for getting paid, but niggas toilet tissue floss. Bitch, my money long, and your hoes now. Bitch, you won't see me where you at, cause me, I'm headed to the top. Bitch, bitches spinning like a ballerina when I'm walking in. Yes, I keep them on their toes, then I really locked in. I turned the whole damn hood to a damn mosh pit. He say, yellow, you the hottest. I know I'm a goddess. I just puss out, and she try to talk shit and go to war with everybody if they try to stop this, bitch. B-I-G-Y-E-W-L-A. I just want everybody to know, bitches spinning like a ballerina when I'm walking in. Yes, I keep them on their toes and I really locked in. I took the whole damn hood to a damn mosh pit. He say, yellow, you the hottest. I know I'm a goddess. How I flush the press to hoe. If she tryna talk shit and go to war with everybody, if they try to stop this, So what with everybody, they ain't really in my mix. And I don't really fuck with hoes, cause they really full of dick. And these niggas ain't no different, always tryna get a pick. Cause I get this sneezing on these niggas, cause they make me sick. Tryna get that money, but they out here tryna get me. Love how they bass booming when I'm riding in my whip. And I'm never late for getting paid, so you won't see me slip. All black on my body, bitch, I put it on. I can't get my time to no little nigga, baby, leave me alone. XCC on my body, D&D up on my phone. I get up in that booth and I get days on, no days off. Bitch, I made for getting paper. Niggas toilet tissue floss. Bitch, my money long, and your hoes now. Bitch, you won't see me where you at, cause me, I'm headed to the top. Bitch, bitch is spinning like a ballerina when I'm walking in. Yes, I keep them on their toes, then I really locked in. I turned the whole damn hood to a damn mosh pit. He say, yellow, you the hottest. I know I'm a goddess. I just puss out, and she try to talk shit and go to war with everybody if they try to stop this, bitch.
Mr. Tyrone. I just gotta get freaky for you because you love the hoes.
You are now.
Alrighty. What is good? I'm trying to see. Let me just try and get this off. Okay. We look good here. Just making sure, we got everything under control and getting it together. Hopefully you can hear me. Have a little bit going on right now. But let me just get off. Just gonna check and see if I'm good on the tube because I hate to look like I'm a mess. I do apologize, like if I start looking a little Minecrafty. I do understand how the connection and stuff can be looking and stuff like that. So hopefully it clears up and we start getting on the way as we start entering more into this live stream. But I do really want to do like a very thorough breakdown on this Bible passage when it comes to deconstructing this particular Bible verse. And we're going to be dealing with Psalms 106. That's the central point. Whoa. Okay. Don't know what that was. Make sure that I'm just checking everything. Deconstructing this particular Bible verse. And okay, we're going to be dealing with Psalms 106. That's central. It looks good. It looks good on my end. But for people who are chiming on in, if you are rewatching this, whatever the case is, make sure you hit that like button. All right. Make sure you interact with me in the comments below and everything like that. I do highly appreciate everybody who is coming on in and listening. I will be going live on, you know what? I might as well go live on YouTube as well and just let people know what we got going on here. And I'm just gonna have like a deconstruction era here, or hello, hello. Is that all I had to do? I just had to reset. I guess so. I guess we're back. I haven't popped up yet on my phone. Okay, is that it? hello, hello. We did. Okay, we back. All right. let's hope it stays like that. See, Yahweh Jesus trying to mess up my live and shit. Anyways,
Let's see. Deconstructing. All right. Got my live stream going. And let me just let my people know on YouTube that I'm over here live. And so if I like the people who are on YouTube, if there are people who like chiming on in, I start talking on my phone over here. That's all that's going on. Typically I go live like in the afternoon or evening on my channel, and that's when people are like active and stuff. What's good, Alex? What's good? What's popping? Let's get right on into it. I do have on who watching on the live stream. I might just have to cut it. And then just get right on into what we're going to be discussing and things like that. But we are going to be basically, you got a YouTube too? All right. So if you would like to, you could join us on YouTube and interact there as well. Whichever works best for you, But anyways, what we're going to be discussing today that a lot of people like to overlook, especially when you're dealing with Christians. And if you are somebody who is currently deconstructing, something that a lot of people, when you talk about it and when you discuss it, a lot of people, they don't want to deal with it. They definitely don't want to deal with it when it comes to how psychotic this God is. And just to give you a little background about me, for those who are new to the platform, for those who don't know who I am or what I stand for, I am the Omni's Throne. I'm the Omni's Throne, and I've been building this platform for the past 8 years. And I have made it my mission to help other people deconstruct from Christianity and from these religious doctrines, because a lot of us have been programmed into believing in God a certain type of way. What's good, Chief? But a lot of us, we have been programmed into believing in God a certain type of way. Iterate this every time that I do certain live streams or that we subconsciously see God as a white man. What's good, Godwin? We subconsciously see God as a white man, and because we see God as subconsciously, the religion that we contribute our life to does not advantage us. It is the best. It's for the best interest of another set of people. And so, because we have been conditioned under their theology, under that in itself, concludes that we don't have a knowledge of self. And a lot of Black Christians get offended whenever I bring up these type of topics, but these are things that have to be discussed and they can't be dismissed, because as soon as we talk about the Christianization of Black people, they always want to bring up Ethiopia. And I don't know how you get to a point of when we're talking about colonialism. And a lot of us Black people are not Ethiopians. We don't have any type of we don't have any heritage to Ethiopia. And that's nothing against Ethiopia, but we don't share the same traditions as the Ethiopians. And even more so, Ethiopians had cultures and different perspectives of God before they were introduced to Christianity when missionary or Greek. Well, either way, I had to let me fact check that real quick. I know his name. Who converted? Yeah, Mentius. But where did he come from, though? Okay, Either way, yeah. What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Much love and support for him. I appreciate that. So yeah, he was up under an empire. Matter of fact, man. Yeah, so he's widely credited for introducing Christianity to the kingdom, one of the kingdoms in Ethiopia, or the kingdom. And he did his missionary work establishing an Orthodox church. Gotcha. Number, what's good? What's good? Right. And you got a non-black man who comes into Ethiopia first. There's black, Nubian feel based country, converts them to Christianity, and really study the real roots and depths of the conversion of Ethiopian. Like, it wasn't like this all going natural movement. Everybody just saw the beauty of Christianity and Christ. This was more political than anything. But we'll deal with that for another time, for another day. I appreciate the badge. I hope I don't botch your name, but I'm gonna just say Mr. But we'll get right on into the live stream. I won't hold any more of your time. Like, we are going to be talking about dealing with the book of, and so I'm gonna share my screen for watching on YouTube. If you want to join, or for those who are watching on Instagram, if you want to join us on YouTube and watch, it's funny because Ethiopia is in East Africa. Most enslaved Africans are from the West. That's facts. That's facts. I don't even know how they get to that point of like two together. I don't know how, because use Chopper was good. Was good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we get to that point. I don't know how we came to that level of understanding. But it is what it is, you know. But like I said, let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get right on into the video. Deconstruction service. So like I said, we're going to be dealing with Psalms 106. I believe y'all can see that. Do it to the best of my ability so that you can actually see what we're reading into. Okay. So reading from Psalms chapter 106. And the reason why I was doing my little deep dive studies on the numbers in the book of Exodus. And I did a TikTok live, or I did a TikTok reel rather, about this story in Exodus chapter 32 that let me know that this God was a complete psychopath. This God is not to be trusted. Somebody you should really stay away from. Moses really sold his soul to the devil. That's kind of like what you're seeing that goes on in the book of Exodus. He runs into God at the beginning of Exodus, and God is telling him, like, I want you to go and free my people. And Moses is trying to negotiate with him. This is his first interaction with God. And so he's trying to negotiate with this man. He's like, yo, I don't speak well. You could send my brother Aaron, what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what I'm to do. And it tells you in the Bible that God was getting mad with Moses. I was like, that's interesting. Like, he was losing patience with the human. And not too long after that, he sought to kill or to unalive Moses. He sought to unalive Moses. And I'm like, that's even more interesting, because you tell him to do one thing, and then not too long after that, a few hours later, for the life of me, I don't understand God who would do something like that. But it is What's good, St. Joseph? People who live stream on YouTube, if you want to see the verses that we're going to be going over on YouTube, or maybe you're just watching on YouTube and you watching on Instagram. I don't know. But anyways, verse, right? Let's just read in Psalms 106, and we're not going to read all the way. I know, right? The SpongeBob voice. Mr. Goliath, what's good? Basically, you're going to see a whole lot of glazing in this psalm. Okay, and I don't really know the context in terms of like David is talking about of Moses. There are some psalms in the book of Psalms where traditionally Moses the one speaking, but this one in this case I believe David is narrating the story of what happened with the Israelites in the book of Exodus and in the book of Numbers. And so I just want to go over this because I don't think people can read this with the same mind, the level of understanding the God that they worship. You know, if you are a Christian. In verse lays and praise the Lord, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for he endures forever. His miracles of the Lord, who can ever praise him enough? There is joy for those who justly with others and always do it right. Remember me, Lord, when you show favor to your people, and let me share in the chosen ones. Let me rejoice in the joy. Let me praise you with those who are like our ancestors. We have sinned, we have done wrong, we have acted wickedly. Our ancestors in Egypt were not impressed with miracle deeds. They soon forgot his many acts of kindness to them. We're going to stop there. We're going to stop there. And the reason why we're going to stop there is because when you look in the Bible and you read what was going on in the book of Exodus, and I don't have time to really go through the whole book of Exodus of what was going on, but the miraculous deeds is talking about of his ancestors that were in Egypt. He's talking about the 10 plagues, I believe. There were 10. But the many plagues that God in Egypt, when God could have simply found a very easy way to sway Pharaoh to let his people go. Now, if I'm not, Pharaoh already was cool with, but God had to harden Pharaoh's heart, and he had to make it hard and complicated for Pharaoh, and had to punish the rest of Egypt along with him. Why? Because that's God, and God could do whatever he wants, you know, mysterious ways. And who are we with our limited minds and puny minds to, you know, that's what, you know, don't mess with God. You don't play around with God. Follow. I appreciate the follow. Sure, the big fun on Instagram. Appreciate that. But that's what we're told. You don't mess with God. You don't play God. God do whatever he wants. And so here is back on the Israelites. You know, the ancestors were with the Lord's miracle deeds, and you have to ask why. You know, they soon forgot his many acts of kindness. And again, like I said, you have to ask why did the Israelites forget the kindness, the so-called acts of kindness that God had the Israelites? Was it because they were dealing with other gods that were treating them? These are things that you just really have to keep in mind of. And I always religious people to conceptualize their religion. If you don't conceptualize your faith, you're going to be very naive in the process. You have to really conceptualize what you're believing in. Why weren't they impressed with the? Did they even ask for it? Did it harm people? Was it for any good? You know? So we get to verse 8. Oh, I didn't even finish this. They soon forgot his many acts of kindness built against him at the Red Sea. Even so, he saved them to the honor of his demonstrate his mighty power. That's a very weird motive to have. So he saved them not because he loved them. He saved them not because he cared about them. He saved them because he wanted to defend his name and to demonstrate how powerful he is. There's been so many times in the Bible that I've read where God says, "And you shall know that our God who brought you out of Egypt and promised your forefathers A, B, and C." And it's like there couldn't have been something else to motivate you, anything else, you know? Why is it that you want mighty power? Why is that? That could have motivated you to want to do this for us? Like, I don't know. In the Bible, you'll see more abuse with God than love. You'll see way God than love. So it's just the fact that he came to this understanding that, oh yeah, this will really show him how, like, I don't know how you get to that point of understanding, like, yeah, I'm going to show how powerful I am by dehumanizing them and punishing them. This God is a psychopath. This God that we have been programmed to believe in, he is a psychopath. But moving on. 9, he commanded the Red Sea to drive Israel across the sea as if it were a desert. So he rescued them from their enemies and redeemed. The water returned and covered their enemies. Not one of them survived. Then his people believed his promises, and then they sang his praise. There we go with the glazing again. Oh, dang. Somebody trying to call me. Oh, goodness. Can y'all hear me still? I'm talking on Instagram. Y'all can still hear me? I'm just making sure. Y'all can still hear me? The people calling in on my phone. I should have put my phone on D&D. What's good, Ray? I hope y'all can hear me. I'm just making sure. I'll get back with their call later. Arcane Faye was good. 6th Street. Hear you clear. So they're going through all the different things that the Israelites went through in terms of giving them and all the mighty miracles. We can hear you. All right. Appreciate that, Darren. So yeah, he's going through all the different things that he did for Israel and parting the Red Sea and all the mighty and workings that happened for them. And so then we continue on verse 11. And cover their enemies, no, not one survived. Verse 12, and they sang his praise. A lot of glazing. Verse 13, yet how quickly they forgot what he had done. They wouldn't wait for his counsel. In the wilderness, their desire ran wild, testing God's patience in the dry wasteland. Now, it's interesting that humanity can test God's patience. Something that Confucius said was the moment that somebody can make you emotional or the moment they automatically become your master. It's just interesting that an all-powerful, all-knowing God can be moved so much by his own creation. It's almost like, when you read the book of Noah or the book of Genesis and you read the Noah story, God regretted making mankind and his heart was heavy. I didn't know God had a heart. I didn't know God had a heart. But it just grieved him. it just grieved him so much for him to see humanity this way and yet in his likeness. It just grieved him for them not to really pay him any mind. So he just decided to wipe everybody off the face of the earth. And he couldn't get his children together because, he didn't want to create any of female vessels up in heaven for his sons, for his wonderful sons. What's good, Asmin? So it is interesting that humanity can test God's patience. It's interesting that humanity can push God's limits. And God has wrath. I don't think people really like take a couple steps back and why is God so mad? Why is he so angry? Why does he think that the problem or the solution to everything is stealing, death? That doesn't make sense to me. You would think an all-knowing, all-wise God a possibility. There has to be some way for him to get his humans together to provide for them some type of guidance, some type of like prosperity or love or righteousness. There has to be something you to make these people, righteous and loving and just respectable to you. But he always to have the same problem with the Israelites. They always run off to other gods. I mean, this made him mad so much. I believe at least a third of the 10 commandments have to do with you shall have no other gods before me. You don't have any false idols. Like there's even a verse in the Bible that tells you jealous is my name. What? Jealous is my name. How'd that add up? How is jealousy your name? I talked about this yesterday of how a woman who's insecure. A woman will never date a all boastful, all big-headed. A woman would never pay a man no mind if he is so boastful and so big-headed and he's jealous, even if you compliment another man's attire or perfume, even if you hear about past trips, he just in his mind, he wants to think in his own mind that when you met him, that was just the greatest thing in his life. The greatest D game, the greatest talk, the greatest everything. Everything in terms of how your life is with him from then on, he just wants him to be in the picture. And that's how, and some people don't see a problem with that. They deem God to be their all Lord and creator. So, but that's a very toxic relationship. And you own people and just the disgusting narratives that are the whole Bible of his relationship with Israel. He even, makes this relationship between him and Israel as a man. That's a very disgusting analogy. Why would you want to relate? Mind you, I've had Hebrew Israelites and people try and tell me that we are God's wife or the Church of Christ is God's wife. But there are many different in the Bible that tell you that God sees you as a prostitute. So he's using you. In the book of Revelations of what is going on in the, heaven. Supposedly heaven is in the Bible. Constant glazing, constant praise every single day. They told us in church every day is going to be Sunday. Every day. Some of y'all can't even go to church one time a week, much less 3 to 4 times a week. Every day is going to be Sunday. And people don't conceptualize that and be like, that's a little boring. That's a little boring, If you ever seen the Squidward episode where he was hanging around his people and every single day was the same routine. And after like maybe 6 or 7 days, he's like, this ain't working out for me. And yet people tell me that, this fantasy of Jesus is coming back. Jesus is going to come back and it's going to. Why would he come back? Let's deal with that. Why would he come back? And why for 1,000 years? Would he come back and rule this earth? But and for why? If Christians proclaim honors and values our free will, why would he now disrupt it? That don't make sense to me. Why would God now disrupt our free will? That don't add up to me at all. All right. We'll deal with it. Okay, but what's good, Mr. Atheist France? Mr. Barr. In case in the deities, I'm just reading from YouTube, y'all. For those who are not on YouTube. And make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all like up the live stream. Of gods and deities were basically applying human characteristics to concepts and belief system. Basically. But like when it comes to Christians, a lot of them they don't see it that way. A lot of them take these biblical stories literally, and I don't understand that for the life of me. Party and sin on Saturday, church on Sunday. It basically, he really taking his time, as if that's really his intention. He used to be drunk, yelling at the church. That's crazy. Now we're not talking about the book of Enoch. In terms of Noah, of Enoch in that reference. I don't have all the answers, but it seems like another way to control people. Definitely don't have all the answers, but I feel it's another way to control. It's definitely another way to control. And we'll deal with that in a second. But definitely when you're dealing with religion, fear mongering, when it's who fear monger you and try to like push you into believing in something, and it's definitely them trying to pull an okie doke on you. But let's get back to Psalm, shall we? Okay. Let me pop it back up, make it a little bigger. So in the wilderness, their desires ran wild, and they were testing God's dry wasteland. So he gave them more, but he sent a plague along with it. So wait a minute. Wilderness. They are starving. They hungry. They thirsty. I mean, there's just like in the Bible, the Israelites to Moses, they're saying like, "Yo, we was living off like how we living right now. We was living like kings back in Egypt. We had it all. Like Moses, I don't know what you're trying to do, fam. Whatever you're doing, it ain't working. I'm sorry. Like we was living like kings. The onions, we had the foods, we had the meat. We got the meats. Like and you're gonna sit here and tell me that we used here in the desert to die. That's why you brought us out here. For us and our children to die. They're not just aware of their well-being, but because I'm starving, my children are starving. We don't have any food. And God looked at the problem. He looked at this situation. And instead of giving them a solution, just last them the whole time that they are there, he decides to send a plague along to their prayer. Why? Like Joe Budden. Why? Why is that? What's the reason for that? There's no reason the prayers of your people You promised to send them out of Egypt. You promised to give them to the promised land. But then you play these little tricks. You play these little tricks with your people, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna promise y'all the promised land, but it's not gonna enter the promised land. What? No, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. Not one of y'all. Not no one of y'all. None of y'all are gonna enter. It's gonna be your kids, your grandkids that are going to promised land. That wasn't part of the deal. You promised us that you was going to send us into the promised land. Now you changed it up. Well, I changed it up because y'all switched up. No. We just got introduced to you. We just got on to your program. We haven't been given proper guidance. This man sent Moses up with God. right this, and left them unsupervised, all knowing. He knows how these people are. Aaron is a pussy. You charge of these people. It's like he was up for failure. He was set them up to fail, because how you put Aaron of all people in charge? I don't think this God is all knowing. I think this God is very ignorant, like the Gnostics said that he was. When you study the demiurge, he's very ignorant. Like, he's just not self-aware. He can't be self-aware. Like, he can't be like, sometimes he have to leave his throne just to see what humans are doing. Isn't that odd? That don't make any type of sense. He has to leave his just to go see what humanity is doing. That's in the book of Genesis. Who is this Bible thumper in my comments? The Bible. Oh, that's Unc. What's good, Unc? I ain't doing no debating. We doing a Bible session right now. That man popping off. But saying though, we are God's people. Man, y'all got to take that somewhere else. Moses. Man, he's sick, poisonous snakes on them. But it's gonna get better. We're going to get back to the story. Verse 14, in the wilderness, their desires ran wild, testing God's patience in the dry wasteland. They asked for, but he sent them to play. People in the camp were jealous and envious of Aaron, the Lord's holy. And because of this was God's response. This was God's response to the people's jealousy. The people in the camp, verse 16, the people in the camp were jealous of Moses and envy because God had his hands over Moses and his people. While everybody else was starving and being thirsty in the humid, in the heat, in the middle of nowhere, Moses was taken care of by God. Aaron and the Moses' wife and their kids, they were taken care of. And the people looking at Moses and Aaron, they're like, how situation? You brought us out here to die. You brought us out here to starve. You brought us out here so that we can go to the promised land. And yet we starving. We living all good because you're just all chosen. They emphasize it in the Bible that these are God's chosen, Moses and Aaron. And God responds and saying, he opened up the earth and swallowed up that and buried Abiram and the other rebels. So what was going on here, for context, I believe this was in the book of Numbers. There were people in the tribe of Israel, or in the negotiation or congregation, whatever you want to call it, and there were people up against Moses, and so they started like this little bit of like a revolution because they were fed up. Could you blame them? Could you blame these people for being starving and they didn't have to eat? My mic keep going in and out. Hopefully my mic is good now. You know, on YouTube. Y'all let me know on YouTube if my mic is good, because I had some technical difficulties in starting. So okay, I know the audio is good on Instagram, but I'm just making sure on they didn't even get enslaved in claim. Oh, you might be hitting on something right then and there. YouTube is cutting out. I'm really trying to catch what you're saying. It's bad. Oh shit. Hold on, y'all. Is it that bad? God damn it. Let me watch this shit. The struggles of being a content creator. I'll run it back. Like, I got time. Give me a second. How bad? It? God damn it. Okay, we pop back up. Make sure that we good over there. Let's pause. Just when you get a chance, check your inbox. Asian. Oh goodness. I messaged you before. Okay. I think we good. God dang. I am buffering a little bit. I do see it. I am buffering a little bit on. What's your perspectives on everything? A little more emphasis on that. Or a little, let me know what you mean by that. Give them hell. What's good? What's good? I'm just making sure that I'm good. Okay. We kind of good. We getting a little, it's not too bad. I think it's like it'll clean up after a while. I'm almost done with the verse anyway, or the chapter. Confused with sectarianism. Confused us with sectarianism. Hey Tyrone, hope your day is going well. I appreciate that. Healing with love. And my day is going great. My day is going really great. It is buffering a little bit. Hopefully it just cleans up with time. I'm a passage Psalm 106. I'll be trying with this, and the reason why I don't be going live this is because I deal with these type of problems, and so I just do my best to try and put it on in there, you know. But let's get back to it. How you feel? How do you feel about what you're reading? This is very entertaining mythology. Next to Greek mythology, the Bible is very entertaining in its mythical tales. I just wish that when people like make animations in like stories or like movies about realistic about how delirious this God is, because they'll be so how the character flaws with Zeus or the Hera or the character flaws with Aphrodite or Medusa. But for whatever reason, God just has to be all perfect, and it's on the humans for their flaws. It's on the humans on why together. And it's like, no, they are literally learning under a delirious entity. Literally. That is the whole basis of what's going on here. But to continue on in Psalm, they were jealous of Moses and Aaron, and God opened up the earth and swallowed. Now, mind you, what's interesting about this, right? And they leave this out. I definitely see the BS for what it is. But what they leave out here in the book of Psalms is that Moses, God, was going to kill all the Israelites right here and there. He was going to unalive the Israelites all like right here and there. And Moses had to plead. He had to beg God, like, please have mercy on these people. Not like, and it seems this to be like a reoccurring thing, God and Moses. And there came a time wanted to give up. Like he was going back and forth with God. He's like, I can't do this no more. You got me with these people, and these people ain't gonna get on your program because you don't even know what the hell you doing. Even the time, like, in I believe this was in the but Moses is going back and forth and he's like, they need supplies. He was like, they need supplies. Like, what are you doing? They need supplies. Like, I don't know what we're doing right now. They need food. And God is like, have I not done this? And have I not done that? And these are stiff necks. And you're like, bro, they need food. They need meat. And God catches a fit. He's like, okay, y'all want food? I'm going to give y'all this amount of food and y'all going to have so much meat, it's going to be running out of y'all noses. I mean, this is a sick person. You brought us out here in the desert and you can't, like, mind you, geography from where they were supposed to be, Egypt, to the promised 11 days for them to get there, and they were stranded in the wilderness for 4. God is a complete asshole. That's what's going on here. He is a complete asshole. Anyways, to the verse, right? Verse 17 fell upon their followers, aflame the wicked. The people made Sinai and they bowed before an image of gold. So now this man is going through their wickedness and sins, justify why God, even though in his cruelty and his punishments, he was still showing them mercy. He didn't discard all of them, just the elected wicked ones, which is very interesting to me. So verse 19, the people made a calf at Mount Sinai, and this is taking place in like Exodus chapter 32. And created their glorious God for a statue of grass-eating bull. They forgot who had done such great things in Egypt, such wonderful things in the land of Ham, such awesome deeds at the Red Sea. And it's like, this is not about you. You think because you spreaded the Red Sea, you could turn a staff to a snake? Like, you deserve praise. Like, I don't think, like, how do you read this and be like, yeah, that's my OG? How do you read stories like this and be like, yeah, he deserves to be praised? I don't understand that. If we was to change the name to Zeus, he's a bastard. If we was to change the name of this entity to any other name for any other god, we could showcase the character flaws in the entity. I'll give you an example. If I, Tyrone, was to showcase my love towards, let's say, I have a wife or I have a significant other, and I was to showcase my love to that woman in a sentence, right? Tyrone gave a bunch of flowers and to dinner and made her life glorious. No matter what name you put there, you take my name, put your name there, you put somebody, how loving that person is, you're going to see the character of that. This is a good person. If you take my name and put it in something completely delirious, Tyrone goes off and unalive 12 people. The name you put there, that man is insane. So when you read this, when you read a story in this book, and let me pop this back up. You read the story of how the people, all these different things that they were doing, there was no guidance. Not one time did we read in the book of Psalms that God gave them order. God gave them guidance. God, was there to heed to their beg, to their lack of understanding, to their cries. It's always emphasized on what he did, all the wonderful ways and the great things that he did for you, and all the magical schemes and wonders that he did for you, and this is how you repay him. Like, that's this is a religion literally created for narcissism. This is a religion clearly created for people who are narcissistic, because they're not good enough. God, I don't know if you know this. What's good, room? If you know this, that's not good enough. You cannot and try and tell me that just because you took us out of Egypt and people, and you used to show us how you could do all these different wondrous things, that's good enough. No, that's not good enough. That may have got us by for the past couple of days, but we need something to last a lifetime. We need something that's going to be sustainable. You can't just think that because you can do a couple of things here and there, you can spread the Red Sea, you can send plagues on other people, you can take people's firstborns. Now you deserve praise. And this is what you're reading here. That because he did all these different things for them, now he feels betrayed because they went back to worshiping the God that they do know. The God that they looked to when they needed, water, and when they needed food and all things. The golden calf reference to Heather, which is one of the goddesses of fertility. And so it though how these people, when you talk to Christians, like, yeah, Israelites, they were stubborn and ignorant. From Psalms chapter 106. That's what I'm reading from. We are reading from Psalms chapter 106. Anywho, but this is where it gets completely insane. We get to verse 23. We get to verse 23, and he says, so God declared that he would destroy them. God declared that he would destroy them, but Moses, his chosen one, stepped up in between the Lord and the people, them to turn from his and not destroy them. You mean to tell me if it wasn't for Moses, and this is taking place in Exodus chapter 32, you mean to tell me if Moses didn't step in and speak some common sense into God, that would have been the end of the book of Exodus? Matter of fact, there probably wouldn't even have been a Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers, because Moses probably would have been destroyed along with them. Well, actually, no, scratch that, because God had told Moses, "Yeah, I'm gonna just annihilate all these Israelites, but I'm gonna make a great nation out of you, Moses." That is a delirious man. That is somebody who is not right in the head, because you promised them, you promised their forefathers they would by any means. Now you about to switch up. You are this close from ending their the Moses is just constantly crashing out. Moses was the only person out of everybody else who could actually talk to God like a homie. Everybody else had to talk to God with their head hanging down and with a very small tone. And the moment that you was to speak against Moses or Aaron, that was your ass. I forgot who it was. It was a set of people who were talking about Moses' wife, and then they was like, God had put a plague on them with leprosy. Like, this man Moses cannot be touched. But what's very interesting, of everything that Moses had to do, he dedicated his whole life. He literally left his normal life, took his wife and kids, got up out of Egypt, just so that he can do this full-time job. This ain't no like 9 to 5. This ain't no 12-hour shift and he has days off. He had to dedicate the rest of his life with the Israelites. And God had these. You're not getting to the. He told Moses, because instead of him, he smacked at the rock out of anger. Yeah, that's it, bro. He smacked the rock. He's like, nah, bro, you ain't getting into the kingdom. You ain't getting. And Moses is pleading with him. And he does this twice. He pleads with, like, he's just begging, like, yo, God, please let me get into the promised land. Please. Like, and Moses, God had to tell him, I don't want to hear about it. Don't talk to me no more about it. I said what I said. You know how, like, when you used to talk to your parents and you start crying, and then your mama say, you better hush up before I give you something to cry about. That's basically what happened between and Moses. So after everything, after dealing with all the nonsense, after all the Israelites were killed in the process, thousands of Israelites were unalived in this whole process, not at the hands of the enemy, but the hands of God. With everything that he had to endure, he still was not qualified to enter into the promised land. That is sick. I think that's a very sick entity. And let's read this back again, just so that y'all can really we can really deal with how narcissistic this God is. They traded their glorious God for a statue of a grass-eating bull. They forgot God, their Savior, who had done such great things in Egypt, such wonderful things in the land of Ham, some deeds at the Red Sea. He would destroy them. But Moses, his chosen one, stepped forward in the people. He begged from his pleasant land, for they wouldn't believe his promise to care for them. Wow, that is, if that ain't the biggest, that's I don't even know if you like, it's not gaslighting, but like that's definitely not what was going on in that story. Instead, they grumbled in their tents and refused to obey the Lord. Therefore, he solemnly would unalive them in the wilderness, and that he would scatter their descendants among the nations, exiling them to distant lands. He swore that he would unalive and then scatter their kids and their children and the rest of their heritage among the nations, exiling them to distant lands. Why on earth do you think that's a good idea? God. Why on earth do you think that's a good idea? I need to know. What what on earth made you think that was a good idea to bring your people out of Egypt, and you're not going to give them any type of proper guidance? You're not going to give them the proper guidance for them to be the best versions of themselves. You promised them. It's almost like you tricked them out of their social conditions, and they just really literally sold their soul. I mean, they were literally stuck between a rock and a hard place. No pun intended at all. Wow, that's terrible. Okay. Let me wave at some of y'all in my Instagram. That's what he told, that he will off them in the wilderness and he would scatter their descendants among the nations. That's like, if you're looking for unity, if you're looking for loyalty, you're not going to get it through death and destruction. Can somebody please tell this God this? God always feels like he has to inflict judgment on nations of people. Why? Aren't you above humanity? What use is it for you to inflict your judgment on humanity who you are above? That don't make any type of sense. First, then our ancestors joined in the worship of Baal. They even ate sacrifices offered to the dead. Lord, with all plague broke out among them. Phineas had the courage to intervene, and the plague was stopped. So he was regarded as a righteous man ever since that time. And then at Meribah too, they angered the Lord, causing Moses serious trouble. They made Moses angry, and the Israelites failed to destroy the nations in the land as the Lord had. And instead, they mingled pagans and adopted their evil customs. They worshiped their idols, which led to fault, that is. They even sacrificed their sons and daughters to the demons. They shed their sons and daughters by sacrificing them to the idols of Canaan. They polluted the land with murder. They defiled themselves by their evil deeds, and their love of idols was idolatry in the Lord's eyesight. This is why the Lord's anger burned against his people, and he abhorred his own special possession. He handed them over. Here we go again. He handed them over to pagan nations, and they were ruled by those who hate them, and their enemies crushed them and brought them under their cruel power. And again, he rescued them, but they chose to rebel. I wonder why, bro. I wonder why. I wonder why they just keep running away. When you listen, God, here's your problem. You can't be sending your people off to different nations, bro. Why would you scatter the people to different nations so them to other nations? This is the same problem that was going on here when they built a calf, because you kept them in Egypt. You get mad at them because of traditions adopt from other people that there. Then you get mad because they took up the customs of the people that you scattered them. Like, what are we doing? Does he not see what he's doing here? Is counting me down? I didn't even know. Dang. I thought this thing could go more than an hour. Should I save this live stream? I mean, I'm gonna do it back so that we can finish. If y'all want me to save the live stream, I'll save it. Yeah, save it. Okay. I'm gonna restart the live stream. Y'all come back. Okay, let me take a little screenshot. Dang, it's a little hot. Turn on my fan over here. First Kings 11:11, especially the women and children. Sound like this entity hates women. Hey, we ain't even gonna get into that. We're not even gonna get into that. Let's see. Deconstructing the Bible live session. Y'all give me a second. Live session. Psalms 106. Part 1. She said, "Take your time. What's the rush?" Please save it. Okay, I'll save it on. I'm gonna save it on here. Baby, I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. She said, "Take your time. What's the rush?" Baby, I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. She said, "Take your time. What's the rush?" Baby, I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. Y'all give me a second, y'all. Y'all enjoy my singing for a little bit. She said, "Take your time. What's the rush?" Ooh. Baby, I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. I'm a mutt. And that's the only part I know in that song. Like I need to like literally sit down and listen to that song. Cause that's my boy Andre, my boy Leon. She said, "Take your time. What's the rush?" Baby, I'm a dog. I'm a mutt. She said, "Take your time. What's the rush?" I gotta put a thumbnail. I gotta put a thumbnail for the live stream. Cause I hate the lives like the little freeze up, like when you post a live stream and it's just like a little part of your live or whatever the case is. Like I like at least to have the thumbnail look a little decent. Okay. Me too. That's the only part. Yeah, that's the only part I know. And that's only because of how popular the song had got. So it's not even really on him, but it's a really great song. And he working on a new project I saw because somebody had posted one of his live streams. And for those who are watching, make sure y'all like it up. Make sure y'all like up this live stream because we're not done yet. We almost done. We where are we at? We almost there. Yeah, we have verse 38. And we are like what 30, 38, 39. We almost there. We almost there. She said, "Take your time, what's the wish? Baby, I'm a dog, I'm a mutt." Oh, I like this. Okay. All right. Let's get back into it. Who sings that song? Leon Thompson III. That is his name, Leon Thompson III. But let's get back into it. Like I said, for those who are watching on Instagram, We are discussing Psalms chapter 106. We are deconstructing it just to show the of this entity. Let's get into it. So verse 39, we'll just do a little recap. Ooh, my bad. Okay. They defiled themselves with their evil deeds, and their love of idols was adultery in the Lord's eyesight. This is why the Lord's anger burned against his people, and he abhorred his own special possession. He handed them over to pagan nations, and they ruled. They were ruled by those who hate them, and their enemies crushed them and brought them under their cruel power. And again, he rescued them. But there shouldn't have to be an again and again. There shouldn't be. There shouldn't have to be this ongoing reoccurrence of him having to save them. There shouldn't be. There should never be this ongoing issue between God and the Israelites of I have to come back and save you because you couldn't get your act together. But maybe, God, you're just a very poor father. Pause due to poor connection. Okay, we back. Maybe, just think about it. Reflect a little bit. Maybe you're a very poor father. Maybe, just maybe. I'm just saying. Maybe you're a very poor father. Maybe you don't think, maybe you just ain't got it all together. What's good, Miss Cam? But maybe you don't have it all together. And that's fine. That's cool. But be honest about it. You feel me? Maybe you don't know everything that there is to know. Maybe you need some extra help. Maybe it would have been better if there was a mother involved. Don't you think? Not just the almighty Lord of hosts, but maybe if there was a mother involved. Maybe if you didn't kick out Asherah, maybe there would have been some balance here. But you don't seem to have any type of love for these people. You don't seem to have. Come on, Instagram, don't be messing up on me, bro. Instagram trying to mess up on me. What's good, Flame? But yeah, again and again he rescued them, and they chose to rebel against him. Interesting. But they chose to, again and again he rescued, but they chose to rebel against him, and they were finally destroyed by their sin. Even so, he pitied them in their distress and listened to their cries. He remembered his covenant with them and relented because of his unfailing love. Give me a break. Give me a break. So you literally push them off. You give them up to their enemies. You hand them over the pagan nations. Your anger, you can't even control your anger against them. And after they are crushed to the bone with no hope, you pitied them. But this was your fault to begin with. This is the same thing that happened in the Noah's Ark story. This is the same thing. After you completely obliterated everybody on the earth, you look at everything that you did and you're like, you know what? I'm going to put this rainbow as a covenant with the world because I don't like all these dead bodies around. And I think I probably, I acted out of impulse. And I'm not going to do this again. It's not going to be with water. It's going to be with fire. I think that's the way to do it. Instagram just cut me out, bro. I'm like, what are we doing? My bad, y'all. Give us down or breakdown, Sir Tyrell. Y'all crazy. Instagram tripping. They indoctrinated folks to be afraid of fire in themselves. We just want to do a part 2 at this point on my Instagram. we want to push through. Anywho, he remembered his covenant with them and relented because of his unfailing love. He even calls their captors to treat them with kindness. Yeah, all right. Save us, O Lord, our God. Gather us back to from among the nations so that we can thank your holy name and rejoice and praise you. Praise the Lord, the God of Israel, who lives from everlasting to everlasting. Let all the people say amen. No, let all the people say, what the fuck? Let all the people say, what the helly? What are we doing? What in the world? Like, who are we dealing with right now? Like, I don't. Do y'all see how, like, in this psalm, there was never a real intimate relationship or negotiation between the Israelites and God? It's always, I freed you, now thank me with your life. I spread the Red Sea, I caused the blood, the rivers of the Nile to be corrupted with blood, and I caused all these things to happen. Praise me, worship me. There was never a real intimate relationship built between God and the people. And then when the people got mad and the people got jealous, and rightfully so, this was valid. These are valid emotions to have. They were they were punished for it. There were repercussions for them to be vocal about their distress. I don't think this God knows how to properly, like, deal with his people. I mean, throughout the whole Bible, you kind of see this for what it is. But that's Psalms 106. And it's kind of just giving you an insight on the relationship between God and the Israelites. I don't understand for the life of me why you would want to worship this type of God. I don't understand this God who is so jealous and so envious. This man who could not even properly lead his people. He couldn't even properly lead his people out of Egypt to come into the promised land. This is the one you want to worship. When he promised that they would go to the promised land, he promised them. He promised their forefathers that they will enter into the promised land, but now there's tricks and schemes around it. Now they can't enter to the promised land, but the next generation can. Moses, who dedicated his whole life to this mission, he could not enter into the promised land because instead of speaking to a rock, instead of speaking to the rock, he smacked the rock out of anger. And God was like, oh, you want to smack rocks now? Okay. All right. Watch you out here. Like Moses only saw the promised land from a distance. He's like, that's as close as you're gonna get, Moses. Because your people are stubborn. Your people are stiff-necked. It's your people's fault. It's not my fault. I'm the God, the Lord of hosts, and I have this mighty power. And look at what I can do. I can spread water. Like, what type of God are we dealing with here? What type of entity? What loving God would do this? I showed you acts and kinds of mercy. Instead of obliterating all of you, I only obliterated 3,000 of you. Worship me, Moses. Worship me, children of Israel. Hear ye this day, I am the Lord your God. Worship me. I can do magical wonders. I can do magic tricks. Worship me. Like, what are we doing? This is your king. This is your Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi. I don't know, bro. I don't know. This man seems like a trickster guy to me. I mean, this man almost offed Moses as soon as he told him, go and free my people. What? Why are we offing Moses now? The book of Exodus would have been, matter of fact, there would have been no Torah. Because traditionally Moses wrote all, the Torah in the first 5 books of the Bible. But Exodus would have been cut very short. I don't understand that. You look into these verses, and anytime that the people slip up or they seem to forget the person that freed them, he always emphasizes on what he did for them in terms of these magical wonders. It's never all this beautiful relationship that we built together, all the things that we did together. That's an intimate relationship. If your significant other betrays you, cheats on you, you don't go to them and be like, after all the things I did for you, after all the things I have said about you, after how much money that I spent on you, you don't go to a relationship that way. You go to that person like, after everything we have been through and the relationship that we have built together and all the love and the things that we cherished with one another, and after everything that we have gone through with one another, this is what you're going to do? That's a more authentic way of looking at a portrayal or a loyalty being dismissed. All this is about him. All of it. All of it is about worship me, Moses. Worship me, children of Israel. I did all these wondrous things for you. I did all these magical things for you. And at what cost? Because throughout the whole Bible, the Israelites are continuously in exile. Throughout the whole Bible, they don't win in the end. They don't. So what was the point of having the promised land if they couldn't preserve the promised land? What was the point of them even leaving Egypt to begin with if it was just going to be to their own detriment? I don't think this God is very right in the head. I don't think this God is worthy. I don't think this God is capable of leading. I don't think this God is capable of being above the emotions of humanity, of being above what humanity has to offer and what humanity does. Because why does humanity piss you off so much? And how also is humanity so easy to move your motives? How was Moses, of all people, who has a stuttering problem? He couldn't speak well. Moses, of all people, he was the one that had talked you out of annihilating all the Israelites. You were so furious. You were so captivated in your anger. You didn't think about the promise. You was this close to breaking their promise, their covenant that you made with them. And Moses had to speak sense into you. And y'all, for the Christians and for the believers, y'all didn't think that was a red flag? These people in the book of Numbers, and I'll read it out to you. I will literally read it out to you. This is what they said in the book of Moses. I'm going to try and see if I can pull it up. So the people, and this is Numbers chapter 21, verse 5. The people spoke against God and against Moses, saying, why have you brought us out of Egypt just to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread or water, and we loathe this miserable food. So they're saying we ain't got no bread, we ain't got no water, we ain't got no meat. And the food that we got right now is spoiled. The food that we got right now, it ain't doing it. And Yahweh thought to himself, I am tired of hearing these people complain about not having enough. Don't you see what I did for you back in Egypt? Bro, we in the here and now. Didn't you see the magic tricks I did for you? I mean, that's literally what we just read in the book of Psalms. Don't you see the magic tricks I did for you? Why are you so concerned about what you don't have? You should be worshiping me. So then in verse 6, God sends serpents, venomous serpents among the people, and it bit many people, and many Israelites were unalived. And this put them in such a state of anxiety that the people came to Moses and was like, we have sinned against God and we spoke against God, and prayed to the Lord so that he can remove the serpents from us. This man puts venomous snakes. He inflicts venomous snakes upon the people. People lost fathers, mothers, daughters, sisters, sons, daughters, because they complained about starving. Starving. If your child was to complain about how they were starving, how would you respond? How would you react? It's very interesting because Jesus critiques this particular incident, in my personal opinion. In the book of John, I believe, Jesus kind of emphasizes on this, or excuse me, not in the book of John, in the book of Matthew. Because when you really read the Gospels for what it is, and if people don't know by now, Jesus is not the son of Yahweh. Yeah, I don't know if you know that by now. Jesus is not the son of Yahweh. Sorry, you got to find it out this way, but the truth shall make you free. Jesus is not the son of Yahweh. As a matter of fact, this is why he has such a issue with the Pharisees, and told the Pharisees that you are of your father, the devil, who was a liar and a murderer from the beginning, because that's exactly what Yahweh was. You know, even in the Old Testament, it tells you that the Lord is a strong ox. He is a man of war. I mean, that's deep, to refer to the all-powerful God as a man of war. That speaks volumes. That can't be unnoticed. That can't be unnoticed. But you go into the book of Numbers, and he is sicking venomous snakes on the people. Like what? There's no excuse for that. But yes, in the book of Matthew, Jesus says, and I believe, in my personal opinion, from my personal studies, that this is Jesus critiquing what happened in the book of Exodus. And so Jesus says, and this is verse 7 or verse 9. He said, which of you, if you have a son, ask for bread, will you give him a stone? And if he asks for fish, would you give him a snake? So if you, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good things to you who ask him? Because think about it. If my child is starving and hungry, and it could be constant, right? Even if it's continuous, let's just say my child is getting on my nerves. There's like every bickering moment. I'm hungry, I'm starving, I'm hungry, I'm starving. There are so many different ways for me to literally deal with that other than in death. I guarantee you there are so many different ways that I could deal with my child or my children with their starvation or dehydration other than in death. It seems like this God, this entity, only solves things in death. Whenever he is mad, whenever he is quick to anger, he's like, yeah, these people gotta go. There's no other solution that he could find. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Appreciate y'all. It just seems like there's nothing else for this God to do other than to inflict harm on his children. I don't understand that. I don't get that. That don't add up to me. It might add up to you, but it don't add up to me. It's not clicking. And I can't serve a God like that. Now, for those who don't know who I am or who don't know about my belief system, I don't take the Bible literal. The Bible is mythical to me. Not a Christian, not an atheist either. I do believe in a higher power. I believe that there is an infinite consciousness or an infinite source, but that infinite source cannot be named or labeled by the concepts of man. So there you have that. Best viewers. I don't know what the hell that is. Let me read some of y'all comments. You guys should read Exodus 5:22 to 6:1-12. Moses was talking about two different people. One, he said the people who he brought to trouble, and your people you have not rescued at all. It was not God, but a shapeshifter. Moses is in heaven, which is better than the promised land. The people rebelled and were unfaithful after doing their own desires, so God would not give them what they did not deserve. But it wasn't about whether they deserved it or not, because at the end of it, he promised them. He promised that they would go into the promised land. He promised them to enter, that they were going to enter into the promised land. That's why they left Egypt to begin with. That was the original plan. And it wasn't about whether or not they felt like they deserved it. I mean, they suffered 400 years. You don't think after 400 years I deserve the promised land? And if you had an issue with my customs and who I was as an individual, you should have gave me the proper guidance and supervision and support that was needed for me to be the man or the people that you wanted me to be. God did not provide the provision or the support system for these people to transform. He didn't. There wasn't no therapy sessions or like rehab centers for these people to get rid of their pagan traditions and their pagan ways. I mean, for goodness sake, he had Moses up in the mountains for days, and these people are like, bro, we don't know what to do. That's lack of supervision. That is lack of leadership. You don't have a team of people, and then you leave your team of people, and they don't know what to do. And then when your team of people are doing stuff that displeases you, you don't blame them for doing the things that you didn't negotiate with them. You didn't tell them to do anything. And then to make it worse, you leave Aaron in charge. Aaron's a pussy. Aaron's a pussy. Why would you leave Aaron in charge? Moses comes back down from the mountains. Aaron, he's like, Aaron, what the fuck is going on, bro? Aaron's like, you know how these people get, bro. They were tested. They be evil. They be on that YN energy. But Moses, you listen. I wasn't trying to deal with all of that. They said they was going to burn me to a stake. I can see, I can just imagine them threatening like Aaron, just bullying Aaron into making the calf. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. That is not a God worth worshiping, personally and respectfully. Like, I don't know if I could say respectfully, but that is not a God worth worshiping. It's about him and us, but to him goes all the glory. He gives us a chance to open his arms to us and tell us to love him and love one another. But the moment we decide not to is the moment we decide to rebel. That is a load of baloney. He's given us the chance to open up to him, and he haven't not once opened himself up to the people. That don't make any type of sense. He is not. He's not deserving of any type of glory, any type of blazing, until necessary. He's not deserving of no type of glory just because he did a couple things here and there. If somebody was to pay off my college loans, the rest of my college loans, appreciate that, big dog. That doesn't mean that I'm in your debt for the rest of my life. Yeah, you did a little thing here and there, but I still got to live life. You think because you paid off my debt, now I have to work for you for the rest of my life? No. Has to be a lot more done than that. Has to be a whole lot more done than that. If somebody was to randomly buy me a brand new car, my dream car even, appreciate that, big dog. That doesn't mean anything. I am not now supposed to be in your grasp or supposed to have this loyalty to you just because you bought me a new car. There has to be more than that. There has to be intimacy. There has to be, there has to be a relationship built between me and you. Be careful with the book of Psalm because it contains prayers of curses with mercy. Oh, the book of lamps. Now I'm cool. I know how I'm speaking with the intentions with the book of Psalms. The Israelites were not even slaves in Egypt. It was the Egyptians after Joseph introduced the tax system, causing them to sell themselves into slavery and servitude, just like easy when they're hungry. Israelites wandering the wilderness was not because they believed the wilderness was where communities sent scapegoats. They suffered because they rebelled almost everything. Almost every time they were enslaved or every time their nation fell was right after they rebelled, and God does give them his world. He gives them a leader to guide them, but of course they always fall short and go after their own desires. Again, like I said, if the Israelites kept failing and kept falling time after time after time again, that is not on the Israelites' fault. That is on God's fault, because you can't even build a sustainable system for these people to have a sustainable civilization. I mean, Asians, when you study Asian culture, there are people who have dynasties that have lasted centuries. There are dynasties that have lasted centuries, and you mean to tell me the Israelites can't even last a generation? Yeah, that's on God. There are dynasties in Asia that have lasted centuries. Dynasties, empires that have lasted centuries. The Israelites can't even get themselves together within 1 to 2 generations. That shows the dysfunction of their civilization, but even more so, it shows the lack of leadership with their God. It just shows. That's not on the Israelites' fault. That is strictly, purely on Yahweh's fault. That is God's fault. It's not a choice, it's a force. That's facts too. Aaron was helping them to be judged. He was sealing their fate. Either way, he's still a pussy. That's why we have to be careful who we allow to help us, because you can become debt to them forever. Was supposed to be Esau. I mean, that's true as well. But at the same time, it's like the Israelites didn't ask for the plagues to be inflicted onto them. It's like something that Moses had told Yahweh. It's like, do you want the Egyptians treated better than how you're treating your people right now? Like, you're literally thinking about annihilating all of your people. And Christians tell me this is justified. Yeah, we deserve to be annihilated for our wages, because the wages of sin is death, and for our works and our righteousness is as dirty rags. I mean, Christians think of themselves so lowly. It is completely disgusting. I suck without Jesus. I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. That's a song that was sung when I used to go to church. Christians have such a low self-esteem of themselves. I can't even really have a conversation with them about loving yourself without them saying, well, God loves me first, and that's how I love myself. Loving on God does not fill the space in loving yourself, Negroid. You can't say, oh, God loves me, Jesus loves me, and just leave it at that. You have to love yourself. It's literally a commandment in the Bible to love your neighbor as thyself. You cannot love God and say you love God if you don't love who you see in the mirror and how this God has made you to be. Evidently, they haven't gotten with the program. Evidently, they haven't gotten with the program. No, I'm just telling it like it is. They haven't gotten with the program. This God lacks a lot of leadership skills, and it's just very interesting to me that people can't see that for what it is. They can't see that this God is a maniac. I'm a maniac. They can't see it. I don't know how they can't see it. This God is a maniac. This man, I mean, I could go on and on about that, bro. I can go on and on about that. And when I talk to people about these things, and like I said, they always come from a very narcissistic standpoint. But especially when I talk about like slavery. And I'm like, of all the ways that God could introduce himself, he had to introduce himself through that way. While I was being dehumanized, while my name was being taken from me and my identity was being taken from me. Now I have to I had to fill in these holes that were stripped away from me with the identity of another set of people. Because the Western Christianity that was given to us on the plantation did not advance us as a people. It indoctrinated us. We were indoctrinated with another set of people's personalities and their disorders. Because when we left the plantation, a lot of the people in the community, they didn't have to be there. They didn't need to be a white overseer anymore, because we started to have black overseers. We didn't need somebody up in the church trying to tell us we shouldn't be talking about black pride or coming together, because we had black people who were like Uncle Ruckus and there to keep other black people in alignment. You didn't have to worry about a revolution or something going on in terms of, people organizing and making something happen, because you had black people who were already programmed and instilled with that type of foundation. And this began to recycle generation to generation. And that's the same thing that happens with Christianity. Black people have not thought, so far ahead to really conceptualize the religion they have been given. But I will give us credit that a lot of us are deconstructing. A lot of us are leaving the religion. A lot of us are seeing through the BS. A lot of us realize that we have to get rid of this religion, because if you piss in my water, I will not drink it. I hope people understand that. If you piss in my water, I will not drink it. I don't care how much you try to clean it, and like, I have to throw the whole glass of water out and get another glass of water or make my own beverage. If you piss in my drink, I'm not going to keep drinking it. I don't care how many times you try and say, oh, there's good things here and there's good things there. Hold your nose when you sip on it. Like, Christianity is corrupted. The Bible is corrupted. And I do not think it is wise for you to follow either one. You can learn from it. You can take the lessons that it has to give, but to follow it, to internalize it, I would not advise you to do. But because man-made religions and books are corrupted and can be corruptible and can be fallible, you're not supposed to follow, and the Bible tells you this, you're not supposed to follow after what is written on paper. You're supposed to follow after the Spirit. Don't you think it does more, just more depth, more volume for you to follow after the Spirit of God than the supposed word of man inspired by God? Don't you think that holds a little more weight when you walk with God, when you walk with divine intelligence every day, instead of saying that you read his word, and especially if the word is outdated and obsolete? And so people keep having these ongoing debates and this constant confusion about what this passage and that passage is supposed to mean in 2005 when this was written 15, 16, 1700 years ago. Merely 2,000 years ago. It doesn't hold up. A lot of people have to deconstruct their religion so that they can come to finding themselves. You got to. There's the same problem on the African continent. Yeah, it's very bad in the Africa, especially on the west coast of Africa. Very bad. Like, it's so bad in Nigeria. It's so bad in different parts of West Africa in terms of Christianity that people will get mad at you for mentioning a black Jesus. This is why I emphasize so much on how when you see God, you see a white man. When you see Jesus, you see a white man. When you say that you are black and a Christian, those two contradict. You cannot say that you are black and a Christian because you're trying to deal with two different ideologies, two different states of mind, two different identities. Because Christianity was not given to you so that you can advance yourself. Christianity was given to you so that you can be subservient to another set of people. Literally, they gave you Christianity to literally make the God in you sleep, to make the divine spark in you sleep. And so now you're content with being a slave. You're content with being humane or a part of mankind. You need to come to discover who you are. You need to come to discover yourself. And knowledge of self is how you are going to break free. But literally, there are Christians out there, there are black people who will get mad at you for mentioning a black Jesus. There was a Hebrew Israelite man who went to go and he went off in Kenya, and they were going to stone him. He was running off from them. He was talking about this in an interview that they were going to stone him because he told them that Jesus was a black man. And these Kenyans were going to stone him for saying that. That is who you're up against. So you could say all you want in America that Jesus was a black man. What does the majority of the world have to say? If you live in a country where Jesus looks like a certain type of person, and every movie that they come out with Jesus is displayed in a certain type of way, you can have your own individual way of looking at Jesus. But at the end of the day, worldwide and on a national conscience, on a universal conscience, Jesus is a white man. And who are you to say otherwise? You go to all these different types of churches, and you go to, I mean, literally, just you tell me where exactly in America can you go to and see Black Jesus in the the little stainless glass windows? You don't see it. And I ain't talking about at grandmama house where they got the little dreadlock Jesus. I ain't talking about him. Because at the end of the day, the passion of Christ cannot be competed with. It can't be matched. At the end of the day, when the smoke clears, God will always be seen as the man that we have always seen him to be. And you have to make a decision in your life on, do I want to contribute my life to this way of life? Or is there something more than what meets the eye? And a lot of people can't come to an understanding of that. A lot of people can't come to realizing who they are. A lot of people can't come to just understanding that there is more to life than what meets the eye. Maybe there's more than just the Gospels. Maybe I need to widen my horizon. Maybe I need to study other religions. I need to study other spiritual systems. I need to study other gods and goddesses. Maybe I need to study more into the goddesses. Because in the church, we have never been introduced to the goddesses. Never, not one time have I ever heard about the mother goddess. Not one time. Ever. Not even if the goddess was a false god. And maybe about close to it is probably like the Jezebel spirit, which is Christian fan fiction. But I find that very funny. I thought that was very interesting to me. Like when I started to deconstruct from Christianity, and then I was introduced to the goddess concept by Dr. Barashango, when he talks about how the African woman is an archetype of the mother goddess, I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was just something that was very profound. I never heard that before, the mother goddess. And the original Trinity being man, woman, and child. And that's being like emphasized and displayed through Asar, Aset, and Haru. I was like, wow, that makes sense. That makes sense. It makes sense for there in the Trinity to be man, woman, and child, then there to be three men. And Christians will go toe to toe with you on God not having a wife. This is the only God that I have ever studied that is content with not having I won't even say content, because he can't be content with not having a woman. But this is the only God that I know that doesn't have a wife next to him. Every God that I have studied, every mythology and every religion that I have studied, every chief god has a mother goddess, has a beautiful woman by his side. Some of them have more than one. You want to know what's better? I heard Dr. Yosef Ben, he was talking about, like, he was telling his father, he's like, you want to know what's better than one black woman? Two black women. You want to know what's better than a god having one wife? Having two wives. You want to know what's better than him having two wives? Three wives. And at least if he has more women around him that he notifies them to be his wife and his counterparts, at least I now know where he stands on divine feminine energy. At least I know how he upholds women and how he sees women. For this God to not have any women around him, none. He ain't got no type of women around him. Even when he is displayed in, to being on his throne and all these 24 elders and his son sitting at his right hand, no wife. You got these messed up looking animals around you proclaiming your glory before you got your own woman and wife proclaiming your glory. That's sick. Somebody said it sounds like a Diddy party. Heaven might be a Diddy party. While you're playing, heaven might be a Diddy party. I always tell people to conceptualize being up in heaven every single day with this man. Heaven might very well be a Diddy party. If everybody's going to be like unto the angels. And there's not, people tell me like there's no need for regeneration. So if there's no need for regeneration, what's going to happen to the women? I've never seen women depicted in heaven. And I'm talking about in the Bible. I'm not talking about all these different paintings that we have. I've never seen women depicted in heaven. Even the 144,000 that are described as God's chosen, one of the emphasis on their righteousness and why they're so holy and why they should be given praise and recognition is because they were not defiled with women. I think that's very alarming, because why in the world would you say something like that? What does that even mean? The 144, and these are God's chosen people, and they weren't defiled with women, and they're virgins. What does that have to do with anything? Why couldn't the 144 have wives and kids? For whatever reason, in Christianity, they think having sex makes them impure. You know, the Pope, the monks, the nuns, they always take an oath of celibacy because they think to abstain from sex, which is completely natural as much as it is spiritual, means that you grow a closer relationship with God. That's a load of bullshit. And I think I'll end out on this live stream on that note. I think I'll end out the live stream on that note, because we've gone about 2 hours in. If I keep going, we're going to be getting like 2 hours and a half in. But I do appreciate all the people coming in. Make sure y'all hit that like button for the one time, for our last time before we end on out. Leave a comment. You know, if you can, leave a comment in the comment section after this live stream has ended, if you've just been watching all the way through. I do highly appreciate everybody who's been listening and tuning in. Hopefully you got something out of this live stream. I do apologize for, you know, all the problems I was having at the beginning of the live stream. I will do my best to try and work on that so I can start having more live streams and we won't have to deal with all this hocus pocus and this ruckus, you know. But I'm gonna read some of y'all comments before we end on out. If you got any other questions or anything like that, let me know before we end it on out. Love your mindset, Tyrone. You're a gym, brother. More brothers should be more like you regarding the mentality. I appreciate that. I highly appreciate that. Thank you. There are said to be men dangerous to no women. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that concept that there won't be any women in heaven. Yeah, the women are the gateway to the world. Some of them are supposed to get 200 virgins in heaven. Ew. That's crazy. Great live, Tyrone. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We're going to end it on out here. I think a 2-hour live stream did us a good justice. I do highly appreciate everybody who came and listened and wanted to hear the word of God, you know, the word of God here. So that's all that we have to discuss in terms of these matters. Keep an eye on my content. I will be coming out with a video today as well. I will be consistent. I'm going to be doing videos every single day, at least throughout this week. So just be on the lookout for my long form content. Watch my long form content. I've been posting just back to back in terms of videos and stuff like that. So if you can support me in any way, you know, you ain't got to give me no shmoney if you don't want me to. You know what I'm saying? If you want to invest your money and you want to interact with me and you want to grow your platforms and all these different things, if you want to work with me, I do have my Patreon coming out very soon as well. So we got that coming up. We just got a lot of big things coming up as well. But if you want to do anything that you can do for free, if you're too cheap, let me stop. But if you want to keep your little coins and you just watch one time for the one time, you know, watch a couple videos here, share a couple videos there, comment, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because that helps me out. I am monetized on YouTube. So every view counts, every like counts, every comment counts as well. So there you have that. I'm about to go and get me some water because it is hot. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful day too. Y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all.